Kevin Maguire's point was very interesting, that in 97, Labour won a lot of seats in England that had rural hinterlands. Is that what today was all about?
Yes, this is the assault on the blue wall. I completely agreed with what Kevin was saying. And actually, if you look at the polling, he must feel emboldened by that, because he can run through the algorithms like the rest of us, and he can see that seats they would never have dreamed of, a bit like the Tories did in 2019 in the red wall, the Labour safe seats. They could suddenly see these seats suddenly being more than possible, easily winnable, and I think Starmer can see that. And it was interesting today. I thought it was a very important day, actually.
Yeah, and he was giving detail today. You know, I ran through it with Kevin. You know, the 13,000 more rural police officers, the 50% of local foods would be procured by public bodies. This was quite specific detail, wasn't it?
Yeah, and most of all, it was quite patriotic. This was old patriotic Labour. This was, you know, British food first, if you like. And, you know, that was something that's been missing from Labour now since, I think Tony Blair had a bit of it, certainly in the first half of his premiership. It's been missing from that, the Labour narrative, really, certainly since 2010. And he seems to have picked it up again, which is amazing when you consider that this was a man leading the attempt to undo Brexit just a few years ago.
Yes, and standing beside Corbyn in the 2019 election, but that is kind of history in a sense, isn't it? Because I think most voters are looking to what's going to come next as opposed to what has happened before. Thursday, this is the really big moment, isn't it? This is when he sets out his vision in these 5 key areas. And I guess once he's laid out that vision, he pretty much has to stick with that. Between now and the next election.
He does. And there's no going back on that. And he probably wouldn't be wise to add more detail, really. At this stage? Certainly at this stage. Not until the kind of last few weeks of the election. But this is a big moment. And let's hope, quite frankly, it's more impressive than the 5 points made by Rishi Sunak earlier this year.
This being said, by the way, by a Conservative supporting newspaper.
Absolutely, yeah.
You thought that was pretty dismal, yeah?
I thought it was dismal. Most of them were things which would happen anyway, or should happen anyway. It would have taken an absolute disaster, for example, for inflation not to come down. It was still a question mark about whether he'll really get growth going. The NHS waiting lists should come down because they were spiking because of the lockdown and things like that. I suppose
stop the boats.
Stop the boats. Well, you see, that's where I'm most sceptical, and I can tell you, I've just had conversations just before I came across it with Conservative MPs who are livid, absolutely livid, about the fact that again this week they postponed the legislation to have these illegal migrants immediately deported. Yeah,
and protests growing all over the country. Yeah. Protests now. I mean, school kids. Yes. Protesting outside a police station in Kent yesterday. David, final thought. You've been stalking the corridors today and the tea rooms of the Palace of Westminster. There's a big event tonight, isn't there, with the European Research Group of Conservatives and the Democratic Unionists. Where are we going with this?
Well, just before I came over, I was told that 2 very junior members of the government are on the point of resigning. Because they think that the deal that the Prime Minister wants is a sellout, and they see no career path for them, given the polling. So they think they may as well go out on a point of principle and make a noise about it. I think that actually may. I'm less sceptical than you. I think that may trigger resignations further up the food chain, especially those who may be interested in taking over from Mr. Sunak, because it's certainly not. His position is not safe.
The public are sick to death with these university student union games.
They're in a death spiral. This is over. It's over for them. They may not have a leader, Labour leader, with the charisma of Tony Blair, but these guys are finished. They've ripped each other apart. The public are fed up. You know, our polling, which is the most generous, the Techni UK one, has, for the 5 of the last 6 weeks, had them 21 points behind. It's not moving. It's not going anywhere. People want to change.
There we are. David Maddox says, it's over. They're done. It's finished. Well, I have to say, they brought it upon themselves.